What's up, chat? What's up, chat? What's up, chat? Welcome to today's one-year Bible read. Make more room there. Welcome to today's one-year Bible read. Today is day 231. I think I need to make sure, actually. 231. Are we really that far? Are we really that far in this read? Hold on. Give me 1 second to verify that, actually. I am. Wow. Okay. We are on day 231 on the channel, chat. Okay, actually, I'm actually surprised by that. Um, Eli, be quiet. And we have already had our guests join us. Can we play Fortnite? Fortnite. I don't know if you read the title of the stream, IG. This is the one-year Bible stream. Um, I'm about to put this guy down, but he want to say hey to everybody. Chat. Say hey, everybody, Alfie. Say I'm going to get groomed this weekend. I'm going to look handsome, but I still look handsome right now. But this is the one-year Bible live stream, chat. This is where we read a daily read from the Bible every single day. We've done it for 231 days in a row. Today we're going to be reading from August the 19th. Why the 19th instead of the 17th? Because we started 2 days early. Just that simple, I mean, we're going to be doing this for 365 days. We're thinking about doing this twice, and we'll see how that goes. Let's just make it through the first time first. But tonight's read is going to follow up from what we left off yesterday, coming out of Esther 4:1 through 7, going through verse 10. And then we're going to sneaky pages, hop into 1 Corinthians 12:1 through 26, and then Psalms 36, 1 through 12, and then Proverbs 21 through 22. Don't forget to like the stream, chat, if you're new to the channel, or if you've been here for a while and you just want to like a stream tonight. Make this the first stream you like for tonight. And without further ado, we're going to hop into today's one-year Bible read, starting with Esther 4:1 through 7. When Mordecai learned about all that had been done, he tore his clothes, put on burlap and ashes, and went out into the city, crying with a loud and bitter wail. He went as far as the gate of the palace, for no one was allowed to enter the palace gate while wearing clothes of mourning. And as news of the king's decree reached all the provinces, there was great mourning among the Jews. They fasted, wept, and wailed, and many people lay in burlap and ashes. When King Esther's maids and eunuchs came and told her about Mordecai, she was deeply distressed. She sent clothing to him to replace the burlap, but he refused it. Then Esther sent for Hatak, one of the king's eunuchs, who had been appointed as her attendant. She ordered him to go to Mordecai and find out what was troubling him and why he was in mourning. So Hatak went out to Mordecai in the square in front of the palace gate. Mordecai told him the whole story, including the exact amount of money Haman had promised to pay into the royal treasury for the destruction of the Jews. Mordecai gave Hatak a copy of the decree issued in Susa that called for the death of all Jews. He asked Hatak to show it to Esther and explain the situation to her. He also asked Hatak to direct her to go to the king to beg for mercy and to plead for her people. So Hatak returned to Esther with Mordecai's message. Then Esther told Hatak to go back and relay this message to Mordecai. All the king's officials and even the people in the provinces know that anyone who appears before the king in his inner court without being invited is doomed to die unless the king holds out his gold scepter. And the king has not called for me to come to him for 30 days. So Hatak gave Esther's message to Mordecai. Mordecai sent this reply to Esther. Don't think for a moment that because you're in the palace you will escape when all the other Jews are killed. If you keep quiet at a time like this, deliverance and relief for the Jews will arise from some other place, but you and your relatives will die. Who knows if perhaps you are made queen for such a time as this? Then Esther relayed this message to Mordecai. Go and gather together all the Jews of Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will go and do the same. And then, though it is against the law, I will go to see the king. If I must die, I must die. So Mordecai went away and did everything as Esther had ordered him. On the third day of the fast, Esther put on her royal robes and entered the inner court of the palace. Just across from the king's hall, the king was sitting on his royal throne, facing the entrance. When he saw Queen Esther standing there in front of the inner court, he welcomed her and held out the gold scepter to her. So Esther approached and touched the end of the scepter. Then the king asked her, "What do you want, Queen Esther? What is your request? I will give it to you, even if it is half the kingdom." And Esther replied, "If it please the king, let the king and Haman come today to a banquet I have prepared for the king." The king turned to his attendants and said, "Tell Haman to come quickly to a banquet as Esther has requested." So the king and Haman went to Esther's banquet. And while they were drinking wine, the king said to Esther, "Now tell me what you really want. What is your request? I will give it to you, even if it is half the kingdom." Esther replied, "This is my request and deepest wish. If I have found favor with the king, and if it pleases the king to grant my request and do what I ask, please come with Haman tomorrow to the banquet I will prepare." How you doing, Katsuki? Welcome to the chat. I will prepare for you, and then I will explain what this is all about. Haman was a happy man as he left the banquet, but when he saw Mordecai sitting at the palace gate, not standing up or trembling nervously before him, Haman became furious. However, he restrained himself and went on home. Then Haman gathered together his friends and Zeresh his wife and boasted to them about his great wealth and his many children. He bragged about the honors the king had given to him and how he had been promoted all over the other nobles and officials. Then Haman added, "And that's not all. Queen Esther invited only me and the king himself to the banquet she prepared for us, and she invited me to dine with her and the king again tomorrow." Then he added, "But this is all worth nothing as long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting there at the palace gate." So Haman's wife Zeresh and all his friends suggested, "Set up a sharpened pole that stands 70 feet tall, and in the morning ask the king to impale Mordecai on it. When this is done, you can go on your merry way to the banquet with the king." This pleased Haman, and he ordered the pole set up. That night the king had trouble sleeping, so he ordered an attendant to bring the book of the history of his reign so it could be read to him. In those records he discovered an account of how Mordecai had exposed the plot of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the eunuchs who guarded the door to the king's private quarters. They had plotted to assassinate King Xerxes. "What reward or recognition did we ever give Mordecai for this?" the king asked. His attendant replied, "Nothing has been done for him." "Who is that in the outer court?" the king inquired. As it happened, Haman had just arrived in the outer court of the palace to ask the king to impale Mordecai on the pole he had prepared. So the attendants replied to the king, Haman is out in the court. "Bring him in," the king ordered. So Haman came in, and the king said, "What should I do to honor a man who truly pleases me?" Haman thought to himself, "Whom will the king wish to honor more than me?" So he replied, "If the king wishes to honor someone, he should bring out one of the king's own royal robes, as well as a horse that the king himself has ridden, one with a royal emblem on his head. Let the robes and the horse be handed over to one of the king's most noble officials, and let him see that that man whom the king wishes to honor is dressed in the king's robe and is dressed in the king's robes, and led through the city square on the king's horse. Have the officials shout as they go. This is what the king does for someone he wishes to honor." "Excellent," the king said to Haman. "Quick, take the robes and my horse and do just as what you have said for Mordecai the Jew, who sits at the gate of the palace. Leave out nothing you have suggested." So Haman took the robes and put them down on Mordecai, placed him on the king's own horse, and led him through the city square, shouting, "This is what the king does for someone he wishes to honor." Afterward, Mordecai returned to the palace gate, but Haman hurried home dejected and completely humiliated. When Haman told his wife Zeresh and all his friends what had happened, his wise advisors and the wife said, "Since Mordecai, this man, has humiliated you, is of Jewish birth, you will never succeed in your plans against him. It will be fatal to continue opposing him." While they were still talking, the king's eunuchs arrived and took Haman to the banquet Esther had prepared. So the king and Haman went to Queen Esther's banquet. On the second occasion, while they were drinking wine, the queen again said to Esther, "Tell me what you want, Queen Esther. What is your request? I will give it to you, even if it is half the kingdom." Queen Esther replied, "If I have found favor with the king, and if it pleases the king to grant my request, I ask that my life and the lives of my people be spared. For my people and I have sold to those who would kill, slaughter, and annihilate us. If we had merely been sold as slaves, I could remain quiet, for for that would be too trivial a matter to warrant disturbing the king. Who would do such a thing? King Xerxes demanded. Who would be so presumptuous as to touch you? Esther replied, This wicked Haman is our adversary and our enemy. Haman grew pale with fright before the king and queen. Then the king jumped to his feet in rage and went out into the palace garden. Haman, however, stayed behind to plead for his life with Queen Esther, for he knew that the king intended to kill him. In despair, he fell on the couch where Queen Esther was reclining, just as the king was returning from the palace garden. The king exclaimed, Will he even assault the queen right here in the palace, before my very eyes? And as soon as the king spoke, his attendants covered Haman's face, signaling his doom. Then Harbona, one of the king's eunuchs, said to Haman, Haman had set up a sharpened pole that stands 75 feet tall, in his own courtyard. He intended to use this to impale Mordecai, the man who saved the king from assassination. Then impale Haman on it, the king ordered. So they impaled Haman on the pole he had set up for Mordecai, and the king's anger subsided. Goodness gracious. Golly. Dang, Haman. Don't try to do evil things to folks, man. Now, let's hop into 1 Corinthians 12:1-26. Now, dear brothers and sisters, regarding your question about the special abilities the Spirit gives us, I don't want you to misunderstand this. You know that when you were still pagans, you were led astray and swept along in worshiping speechless idols. So I want you to know that no one is speaking by the Spirit of God will curse Jesus, and no one can say Jesus is Lord except by the Holy Spirit. There are different kinds of spiritual gifts, but the same Spirit is the source of them all. There are different kinds of service, but we serve the same Lord. God works in different ways, but it is the same God who does work in all of us. A spiritual gift is given to each of us so we can help each other. To one person, the Spirit gives the ability to give wise advice. To another, the same Spirit gives a message of special knowledge. The same Spirit gives great faith to another, and to someone else, the one Spirit gives the gift of healing. He gives one person the power to perform miracles, and another the ability to prophesy. He gives someone else the ability to discern whether a message is from the Spirit of God or from another spirit. Still another person is given the ability to speak in unknown languages, while another is given the ability to interpret what is being said. It is the one and only Spirit who distributes all these gifts. He alone decides which gift is given to each person and which one each should have. The human body has many parts, but the many parts make up one whole body. So it is with the whole body of Christ. Some of us are Jews, some of us are Gentiles, some of us are slaves, and some are free. But we all have been baptized into the one body by one Spirit, and we all share the same Spirit. Yes, the body has many different parts, not just one part. If the foot says, I am not a part of the body because I am not a hand, that does not make it any less a part of the body. And if the ear says, I am not a part of the body because I am not an eye, what would that make it any less a part of the body? If the whole body were an eye, how would you hear? Well, if your whole body were an ear, how would you smell anything? But our bodies have many parts, and God has put each part just where He wants it. How strange a body would be if it had only one part. Yes, there are many parts, but only one body. The eye can never say to the hand, I don't need you. The head can't say to the feet, I don't need you. In fact, some parts of the body that seem weakest and least important are actually the most necessary. And the parts we regard as less honorable are those we clothe with the greatest care. So we carefully protect those parts that should not be seen, while the more honorable parts that do not require this special care. So God has put the body together such that the extra honor and care are given to those parts that have less dignity. This makes for harmony among the members, so that all the members care for each other. If one part suffers, all the parts suffer with it. And if one part is honored, all the parts are glad. And now Psalms 36, 1-12. Sin whispers to the wicked, deep within their hearts. They have no fear of God at all. In their blind conceit, they cannot see how wicked they really are. Everything they say is crooked and deceitful. They refuse to act wisely or do good. They lie awake at night, hatching sinful plots. Their actions are never good, and they make no attempt to turn from evil. Your unfriendly love, O Lord, is as vast as the heavens. Your faithfulness reaches beyond the clouds. Your righteousness is like the mighty mountains, and your justice like the ocean depths. You care for people and animals alike. O Lord, How precious is your unfailing love. O God, all humanity finds shelter in the shadow of your wings. You feed them from the abundance of your own house, letting them drink from your river of delights. For you are the fountain of life, the light by which we see. Pour out your unfailing love on those who love you. Give justice to those with honest hearts. Don't let the proud trample me, or the wicked push me around. Look, those who do evil have fallen. They are thrown down, never to rise again. What's up, money? How you doing, man? What's up, man? What's going on, man? How you doing? What's up? And now Proverbs 21:21 through 22. Whoever pursues righteousness and unfailing love will find life, righteousness, and honor. The wise, the wise conquer the city of the strong and level the fortress in which they trust. And now the gift that keeps on giving. The gift that keeps on giving. Where'd she go? She like traveling or something? Yeah, I'm straight. Oh, well, I see. Okay. The only thing I can really say to that is, just remember her memory. You know, and I can't really. Um, I don't have that own experience myself, and I'm grateful. Um, but if I could say anything to you, is to appreciate her memory. You know, and she probably still looking out for you. She probably still looking out for you in some way. She probably still got her hand out on your shoulder, helping you out in like little situations or in little times when you remember her. Remember her and smile. No problem, bro. That's what I'm going for. So I appreciate the fact that my intentions are doing well. What I hope they are doing. Facts. Now let's hop in and finish the last piece of the day's read, the gift that keeps on giving. The gift that keeps on giving. When we come to Christ, we are filled with the Holy Spirit and empowered with unique spiritual gifts. When you have one of these gifts, what seems impossible to someone else is quite straightforward to you. It just comes naturally, actually, supernaturally. Some of us lead fairly dead spiritual lives because we have never come to know our spiritual gifts and thus have never used them. Discovering your gift can be life changing, and using it alongside other believers can give new purpose. Each person's gift is significant, and they all work together. And Chad, I'm gonna turn off this camera really quickly, mute my microphone, ask for clarity, wisdom, and discernment of today's word, and I'll be right back. What's up, chat? Welcome back. Today was day 231 in a row, chat. Um, we're doing a 1 year Bubba Read. If this is your first time here in this chat, uh, we're doing it 231 days in a row, and we're doing it for 365. Um, Today's read came from Esther 4:1 through 7, and then we followed up with 1 Corinthians 12 1 through 20, 1 through 26, and Psalms 36 1 through 12. And then we followed up Psalms with Proverbs 21 through 22. And let's start with our conversation about today's read from Esther 4:1 through 7. Today, we'll talk about the plot of we'll talk about the plot of the devil, right? I'm not gonna sugarcoat. I was thinking about using different words, but I'm kind of annoyed with sugarcoating. So we'll talk about the plot of the devil, right? And how the devil never wins, never succeeds, and always fails. And so we'll talk about exactly how the devil continues to fail, right? So in this story today, we're talking about Mordecai, Haman, and Haman's distaste for a whole race of people, right? Um, Haman decided, I'm going to plot against them, and I'm going to plot to take out a whole race of people who had nothing to do with what happened to me and this one person, right? And that's where he messed up at. He decided to take out his anger and be led by his anger to go against a whole race of people. And that race of people just so happened to be loyal to their God at that time, right? Now, this is one of the times where, you know, they had been worshiping other idols. Maybe it would have worked out differently, but this is a time where they were doing what they were supposed to do. They were faithful. They were taking care of business. How you doing, Brighter? So God was all about making sure that his people were protected, right? But God had already set up this whole plan before. So you see how Queen Esther was already appointed queen before this thing even happened. Before this whole altercation happened, Esther was put in a position to where she would be able to protect her people if anything happened, right? She was made queen. And her uncle Mordecai was able to facilitate her being put in that place. So you see how God worked in mysterious ways to set everything up. Fatty Waffer. That's pretty funny. You see how God was able to put everything in place before, you know, how everything was already going to play out this way in the first place, right? And I don't know what it meant, so I was kind of laugh at it. So he put everything into place, right? So as things begin to play out, right, we see how God's hand is in it and how the enemy's anger was leading them, right? So what are we being told here in this read today? Do not be led by anger. Don't let your anger consume you and lead you to make decisions that are going to hurt you in the end, right? We learned this from Haman. Haman was led by his anger, and his anger against these people led to him being hurt in the end. His anger against somebody who barely did anything to him, right? He felt so high up about himself that if anybody disrespected him in any way, he was just going to lash out at them, right? And we're shown here in this read how anger can lead to your destruction, how your own anger can lead to your destruction, right? And we're shown by Mordecai, when you stand on business, when you stand on what you believe in, how God is ready to come to swoop in and take care of you, right? Mordecai stood on business. Haman was going to disrespect him and his folks regardless. It was always going to be that way, right? But Mordecai stood on business, right? So Mordecai stood on business, and since his faith stayed with his God, that's how it worked, right? So one was led by anger, and and one was led by God, right? So who's going to win, right? So clear, Clearly, if you can quantify the two of those together and put them against each other, you already know who's going to win the situation. But let's follow the story. Let's follow the story, right? So now Haman is feeling really good, and he set up an evil ploy, um, like a serpent would, or someone who's vying to trap an enemy. He set up a trap, and the trap that he laid was used on him. So what do we learn so much from today's read? So now we'll learn Haman's lesson first. We'll learn Haman's lesson first. Anger is going to lead to your demise. And playing into all the traps that anger is going to lay for you, that you're going to follow because you're angry, it's going to make your demise that much faster. If you can't take a step back and step away. Haman had many chances to step away, to walk away from the decision he made, but he was proud in the decision he made to hurt so many people. He was proud in that decision to relate to his demise. But he looked so good at the time. Everybody was probably feeling him. He was feeling himself. But that was only a temporary feeling of satisfaction, which led to an eternity of the same feeling he was trying to avoid. He was so proud and his ego was hurt that Mordecai wouldn't bow to him. So he felt humiliated. And in the same way that made him react this way is the same way he died. He died in a humiliating fashion. He was impaled on the same pole he made to impale someone else with. So what started this whole cycle finished it. What started the cycle finished the cycle. He was so proud that he felt humiliated when that one person wouldn't bow to him. And so since he was led by his anger, it led him to do all these things and set up all these traps just for him to end up still humiliated in the end. And humiliated in the fact that did not give him a chance to come back from it. So what can we learn from the biggest part of this story? Don't let our pride take us in a place that it can't protect us. Don't let our pride take us to a place that it can't protect us. Don't let anger lead you. And know how to catch yourself. Haman could have called himself and stopped himself, but he didn't. So learn how to catch yourself. Now what can we learn from Mordecai? Faith. Faith will overcome all things. All the people that you may look up to for the things that they have in this world, they say the same things. At some point, they had so much faith that it was going to work out, and they just went forward. Faith overcomes all things. So, that's what we learned from Mordecai today. There was so much going against him. At the end, he was carried around on a horse, and the king said, "This is my guy. This is my guy right here." And the same guy who was trying to take him from here was taken away by his own ploy. But let's hop into our next verse. 1 Corinthians 12, 1-26. In Corinthians today, 12, 1-26, we went over and we read how God works in mysterious ways, but also about how God is in every single last one of us. No matter who we serve, no matter who we believe we serve, all our prayers go to the same God. No matter what differences we believe we have from each other, all our prayers go to the same God. Everybody was made by the same one. Everybody has the same godly energy. No one is any different at all. It's on my shoulder right here. We are one, right? It all comes from the same place. We're all the same at the end of the day. And everybody has a gift. Everybody has multiple gifts. And just because someone may seem lower than you on this pole does not mean that they're not necessary. They're just as necessary as you are. So it's just called for us to respect each other. See that we remember that we all come from the same place. We all work. We all, regardless of if we see it or not, we all pray to the same one, and we all come. We all share that one thing that's going to keep us connected forever. You know, we're going to be connected forever. So we might as well cherish it. But let's hop into our next verse. Proverbs 21:21-22. Whoever pursues righteousness and unfailing love will find life, righteousness, and honor. The wise conquer the city of the strong and level the fortress in which they trust. If you stay on the right path, we just talked about this. Mordecai, he stayed on the right path. He allowed his faith to guide him through all of these little things that were happening. It was so many ups and downs and so much things that were going against him. But his faith and his unwillingness to disregard his faith, to know that his help was coming. We've all been in a place in our lives where we absolutely had to have faith. We absolutely had to, because there was no other way. And every time somebody asks us, "Were we okay?" we just had to say that we just gotta have faith. I'm just gonna keep my faith. Every time somebody asks us, "Were we gonna be okay?" Appreciate that. We had to keep having faith. We had to keep believing, and we never questioned it. We just said, "I got faith. I know it's gonna work out. I got faith." And while they may have stopped believing along that way, you never stopped believing. I never stopped believing. And eventually, it did work out. And we all had that happen at least one time, whether you remember it or not. I personally have had it happen. When everybody doubted that it was going to work out for me. But I never doubted it. Even if I cried at night, even if I was hurting in my soul, because I didn't like what was happening around me, I knew it was still going to work out. No matter how many times somebody questioned whether it was going to work out or asked me, was I okay, I knew I was going to be okay. And Mordecai had that same faith, and we were called to have the same faith. We were called to have that faith. Just know it's gonna be all right. Just keep knowing it's gonna be all right. It may not be pretty. Mordecai, it wasn't pretty. Haman wanted to impale him on a 75-foot pole. He had a decree signed with the king to take out all of him and all his people. But through all of that, he never turned back on his faith. He knew it was going to work out eventually. In some way, it was going to work out. He didn't know that the thing that he did beforehand was going to be the reason why it worked out for everybody. So do exactly what you're supposed to do. Take care of your business and know it's going to work out. Do what you got to do. Take care of your business and know it's going to work out. And chat, that is how we're going to end today's One Year Bible Read. This has been day 231 in a row. And if you want to join us for 232, which will be tomorrow, subscribe, turn on post notifications, hit that bell, and like the stream. It's been another amazing read where it feels like the Spirit just kind of took over. But thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me. If you've never seen this outro, and it's your first time in the stream, and if you've seen this outro before, say it with me. Let's go. We all have that limitless core, baby. I appreciate you. I might even love you, but I'm for sure glad you woke up today. Thank you for joining me for another One Year Bible Read. This has been day 231 in a row. And before you go, I appreciate your presence as always. Whether it's for a minute, a second, a millisecond, or if you've been with me for a while now. I truly appreciate it no matter how long it's been. Hope you have a great rest of your night, because I'm going to have a great rest of mine. And peace. I'm going to see you next time. Y'all have a great night. I'm glad you joined me for the Limitless Core live stream for the night. And thank you. Peace.